Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive into the world of product development. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a specific part of the IABA's guide.
Oh, yeah, the Guide to Product Ownership Analysis.
That's the one. We're focusing on a section called Apply Foundational Concepts, which basically boils down to setting yourself and your organization up for success before you even start thinking about building.
So it's all about laying that groundwork first.
Exactly, making sure you've got that solid foundation in place.
Makes sense. Otherwise, you're kind of just building on sand.
And speaking of shaky foundations, the guide opens with a pretty shocking statistic. 95% of new products fail.
Wow, 95%. So
Yeah.
only like 1 out of every 20 products actually makes it.
Pretty much, which is kind of crazy when you think about how many new products are launched every single year.
It really is. Makes you realize how important it is to get those fundamentals right.
Absolutely. And the guide breaks down 3 key areas that organizations need to focus on to set themselves up for success. First up is clearly defining roles and responsibilities.
Right. So everyone knows who's doing what.
Exactly. Sounds pretty basic, but
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how often there's confusion about this.
Especially in larger organizations, I bet.
Definitely. Especially when you've got multiple teams working on different aspects of the product.
And then you add in stakeholders from different departments. It can get messy fast.
It really can.
Uh,
And that kind of confusion can lead to all sorts of problems.
like miscommunication, missed deadlines.
And ultimately a product that just doesn't live up to its potential.
Right, because everyone's pulling in different directions.
It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
Everyone's hammering away, but nobody's really sure what they're building or how it all fits together.
A recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
So that's the first area. Clearly defined roles and responsibilities.
Mhm.
Second area the guide focuses on is aligning products and services to your overall business strategy.
So making sure that everything you're building actually supports the company's goals.
That's the idea. We've all seen those passion projects where a team gets super excited about something,
Oh, yeah. But it ends up being a total distraction.
or even worse, a detriment to the company's bottom line,
Like a shiny new feature that nobody actually uses.
or a product that cannibalizes sales from your existing offerings.
Ouch.
It can happen. You might have an amazing team building a fantastic product, but if it doesn't align with the company's vision or meet real customer needs,
It's a wasted effort.
exactly. A lot of resources down the drain,
And potentially some bruised egos, too.
definitely. So that's the second key area, aligning products and services to your strategy. And finally, the third area is ensuring that the products themselves are well defined from the get-go.
So knowing exactly what you're building before you start building it.
Right. And making sure that what you're building actually makes sense in the context of the market and the company's objectives.
So no more building things just for the sake of building them.
Exactly. It's all about being intentional and strategic with your product development efforts.
Makes sense. So those are the 3 key areas. But how do you actually put these principles into practice?
Well, the guide provides some specific techniques that organizations can use. For example, when it comes to defining roles and responsibilities, they recommend a technique called stakeholder lists and maps.
Interesting.
Basically, you identify all the key players involved in the product development process, and then you map out their roles and responsibilities and how they all interact with each other.
So it's like a visual representation of who's doing what.
Exactly. Helps to prevent confusion and ensures that everyone's on the same page.
I like it. So what about aligning products with strategy?
For that, the guide suggests using a business model canvas.
Ah, yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's a visual tool. Helps you map out the key elements of your business model.
Like your value proposition, customer segments, revenue streams.
All of that. It's a great way to get everyone on the same page and make sure that your product fits into the bigger picture.
So you're not just building a product in a vacuum.
Exactly. And then for defining the product itself, there are techniques like user story mapping and acceptance criteria.
Those are good ones. User story mapping is great for breaking down complex features into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Right. And then arranging them visually to represent the user's journey through the product.
It's like creating a roadmap for the user experience.
I like that analogy. And then acceptance criteria. Those are the specific, measurable, and testable criteria that define when a user story has been successfully completed.
So there's no ambiguity about what done actually means.
Exactly. It's about setting clear expectations and ensuring that the team is building the right product the right way.
So we've got techniques for defining roles and responsibilities, aligning products with strategy, and defining the product itself.
all of which are essential for creating that solid foundation, for building a successful product.
Absolutely. But it's not just about the techniques themselves. It's also about having the right organizational structure in place.
Right. You mentioned earlier that this section of the guide focuses on the importance of having that solid organizational foundation in place before you even start building.
I did.
So let's dive into that a bit more.
Sure.
What does that environment look like?
Well, for starters, you need leadership that understands the value of product development. Leaders who are willing to invest in the resources and processes needed to support it.
So it's not just about lip service,
Definitely not. It has to be baked into the company culture.
a culture that values innovation, experimentation, customer feedback.
All of that. You also need to empower your product teams. Give them the autonomy to make decisions and take ownership of their work.
And make sure they have the tools and resources they need to be successful.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget about aligning product development with the overall business strategy, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Right, avoiding those passion projects that might be cool, but don't actually contribute to the company's goals.
It's about making sure that everyone is rowing in the same direction and that product development efforts are aligned with the company's vision and priorities. So we've got the organizational structure, the right culture, and alignment with the business strategy. But what about the teams themselves? What does the guide say about setting up teams for success?
Well, this is where those clearly defined roles and responsibilities come in again. Everyone on the team needs to understand their role, how it fits into the larger picture, and who they need to collaborate with.
And there need to be clear communication channels and processes in place.
Absolutely. The guide recommends techniques like communication planning to help teams define how they will communicate with each other, with stakeholders, and with customers.
So you avoid those situations where information gets lost in the shuffle, or people are left out of the loop.
Right. And it's not just about formal communication channels. It's also about fostering a culture of open communication and collaboration.
So people feel comfortable sharing ideas, raising concerns, working together to solve problems.
Exactly. Building a successful product is a team effort, and it requires a team that can communicate effectively, collaborate seamlessly, and trust each other.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So we've got the organizational foundation, we've got the right team structure, and we've got clear communication and collaboration. But there's one more piece of the puzzle that we need to talk about, and that's the specific POA techniques that can be used to strengthen those joints and build a more robust product development process.
You're talking about techniques like decision modeling and analysis.
That's one of them, but there are others as well. So let's dive into those in more detail after a quick break. We'll be right back.
And we're back, ready to dive into some of those specific POA techniques that can help us build a more robust product development process.
Sounds good to me. So where do we start?
Well, one technique that I find particularly valuable is decision modeling and analysis.
Decision modeling and analysis. What is that?
It involves creating visual models that map out the different decisions that need to be made during the product development process, along with the factors that will influence those decisions.
Oh, so it's not just about making decisions on the fly or based on gut feelings.
Right. It's about taking a more structured and analytical approach.
So you're thinking through all the possibilities.
Exactly. You're identifying the key decision points, understanding the potential consequences of each option, and then making more informed choices.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's like a decision tree, but for product development.
You could think of it that way.
Interesting. What are some other techniques that can be used to create a more robust product development process?
Or another technique that comes to mind is risk analysis and management.
Risk analysis and management. So this is about identifying potential risks early on and developing plans to mitigate them.
You got it. By proactively identifying and addressing potential risks, you can avoid costly delays, rework, and even project failures.
It's like having a safety net in place, so you can focus on building a great product without constantly worrying about what might go wrong.
Exactly.
So decision modeling and analysis helps us make better decisions, and risk analysis and management helps us avoid potential pitfalls.
Right. Both of which are essential for building a more robust product development process.
Absolutely. Now, before the break, we were talking about the importance of understanding the customer. And we were just starting to touch on some of the POA techniques that can help us do that.
Right. Techniques like customer journey mapping, empathy maps, and personas.
Exactly. So let's dive into those in more detail.
Sure.
Starting with customer journey mapping. What is that all about?
Basically, it's about visualizing the customer's entire experience with your product, from the very first touch point to the moment they achieve their goal.
So it's like walking a mile in the customer's shoes, so you can truly understand their journey.
Exactly. You start by identifying all the different stages of the customer's interaction with your product.
Things like awareness,
Mm.
consideration, purchase, use, and even advocacy if they love your product enough to recommend it to others.
Right. And then for each stage, you map out the customer's actions, thoughts, emotions, and pain points.
So you're not just focusing on the functionality of the product, you're considering the entire customer journey.
Exactly.
And that can give you some really valuable insights.
It can. For example, you might discover that customers are getting frustrated at a particular point in the journey, or that they're not finding the information they need.
And then you can use those insights to make improvements.
Right.
So customer journey mapping is all about understanding the customer's experience. What about empathy maps and personas? How do those fit in?
Well, an empathy map is a visual tool that helps you understand your customer's perspective by capturing what they're thinking, feeling, seeing, hearing, saying, and doing in relation to your product.
So you're not just gathering data about their demographics or purchasing habits, you're trying to understand their emotional state and their underlying motivations.
Exactly. This can be incredibly valuable when it comes to designing products that truly resonate with customers.
I can see that. And what about personas?
Personas are fictional representations of your ideal customers, but they're based on real data and insights.
So instead of thinking about your target audience as a faceless mass, you're creating specific characters that represent your ideal customer.
Exactly. Each persona has a name, a backstory, a set of goals, motivations, and pain points.
It's like bringing your target audience to life.
And by focusing on these specific personas, you can ensure that your product is designed to meet the needs of the people who are most likely to use it and love it.
Makes sense. So we've got customer journey mapping,
Right.
empathy maps, and personas, all of which can help us gain a deeper understanding of our customers.
Right. And that understanding is crucial for building successful products.
Absolutely. Now remember our friends at ABC Corp, they were facing some serious challenges.
Oh, yeah, they were struggling to keep up with the competition.
Exactly. Their products weren't resonating with customers.
And they were losing market share.
So how did they turn things around? Did they use these POA techniques?
They did. Natalia and Ivan, our product champions, realized that they needed to get a better understanding of their customers.
So they decided to put these POA techniques into action.
They started by conducting customer journey mapping workshops to understand the entire customer experience.
And what did they discover?
Well, they quickly discovered that customers were frustrated with certain aspects of their phones.
Like the battery life,
Well,
the user interface, or the camera quality.
yes, exactly. But they also uncovered some unexpected insights.
Oh, really? Like what?
For example, they learned that customers really valued the durability of their phones.
So they were looking for a phone that could withstand the wear and tear of daily life.
Right. This was a key insight that they wouldn't have discovered if they hadn't taken the time to map out the entire customer journey.
That's fascinating. So they were able to use these insights to improve their existing products and to develop new products that were more aligned with customer needs.
Exactly.
And they also started using empathy maps and personas to gain a deeper understanding of their target customers.
They did. They created personas that represented their ideal customers. And they used these personas to guide their product development decisions.
I imagine this helped them to move away from those generic products and create phones that were truly tailored to their target market.
It did.
And they didn't stop there. They also used techniques like prototyping and feedback loops to get constant feedback from customers throughout the development process.
Right. This ensured they were on the right track and that they were building products that customers would actually want to buy.
I remember Raphael, the BA professional who came in to help Natalia as a proxy product owner.
Oh, yeah. He was a great addition to the team.
Well, he played a key role in facilitating these workshops and helping the team to analyze and interpret the customer data they were gathering.
He did a great job of bringing his BA expertise to the table.
So they were able to make data-driven decisions and avoid those costly mistakes that can happen when you're just relying on gut feelings or assumptions.
Exact.
The combination of these techniques and the collaborative approach they adopted really helped them to turn things around.
They were able to develop a new line of phones that were a huge hit with customers.
And the company was able to regain its competitive edge. It's a great example of how applying these POA techniques can lead to real-world success.
It certainly is. But understanding the customer is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. We also need to make sure we're building the right product, the right way.
And that's where techniques like user story mapping, acceptance criteria, and non-functional requirements analysis come into play.
Okay, so let's explore those in more detail.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive into those other techniques for building the right product the right way.
Right. User story mapping, acceptance criteria, and non-functional requirements
Let's
analysis.
start with user story mapping.
All right, so with user story mapping, it's all about taking those complex features and breaking them down.
Into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Exactly. And those smaller pieces are our user stories.
And then we arrange those user stories visually to represent the user's journey through the product.
Right. It's like creating a roadmap for the user experience.
So you can see at a glance how each step leads to the next.
And get a clear picture of the overall flow.
And to make sure everyone's on the same page about what done means for each user's story, we have acceptance criteria.
Yeah, those are key.
Those are the specific, measurable, and testable criteria. That defines when a user story has been successfully completed.
So you're not just building a feature, you're building a feature that meets the defined criteria and truly delivers value to the user.
And then we have non-functional requirements analysis.
Now, these are often overlooked.
But they're so important.
They're all about those qualities of the product that aren't directly related to its functionality, but are absolutely crucial to the user experience.
Things like performance,
The security,
usability,
maintainability.
all those things that can make or break a product.
It's not just about building a product that works, it's about building a product that works well and that delights the user.
Now, no, the guide also stresses the importance of data-driven decision-making.
Okay.
So what are some of the techniques that teams can use to gather and analyze data throughout the product development process?
Well, metrics and key performance indicators, or KPIs, are really important here.
KPIs.
Yeah, those are the measurable values that help you track your progress toward your product goals.
So you can see if you're actually meeting those customer needs.
Yeah,
And if your product is performing as expected.
exactly.
And then there's Kano analysis.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've heard of it, but I'm not entirely sure how it works.
It basically helps you categorize product features based on their impact on customer satisfaction.
So you can prioritize your development efforts
Hmm.
and make sure you're focusing on the features that will deliver the most value.
Exactly.
So you're identifying those must-have features
The delighters that can set your product apart,
and the ones that are nice to have.
but might not be worth the investment.
And then, of course, we have feedback loops.
Those are essential for continuous improvement.
It's about creating a continuous cycle of gathering feedback from customers, analyzing that feedback, and then using it to improve the product.
It's all about embracing that agile mindset, constantly learning, adapting, and iterating based on real-world insights.
And it all comes back to collaboration and communication.
Right. The guide really emphasizes the importance of those things throughout the product development process.
It's about bringing together a diverse team with different perspectives and skill sets, and creating an environment where they can work together effectively.
And to keep everyone on the same page, tools like product roadmaps and release plans can be really helpful.
They provide a visual representation of the product strategy, outlining the key features and milestones that you plan to deliver over time.
Right. They help keep everyone aligned on the product vision and ensure that you're delivering value in a timely and predictable manner.
Now, we can't talk about product development without acknowledging that things don't always go according to plan. So what does the guide say about dealing with those inevitable challenges and uncertainties?
Well, this is where risk analysis and management come in,
Right. Identifying potential risks early on,
and developing strategies to mitigate them.
being proactive, and planning for the unexpected.
Exactly.
And when you do encounter a particularly tricky problem, the guide recommends using spikes.
Oh, yeah. Those are good for those deep dives into specific problems.
They're those time-boxed research activities designed to answer a specific question or address an area of uncertainty.
So it's like a targeted deep dive within the larger deep dive of product development.
I like that.
Me too.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored the key concepts and techniques outlined in the IIBA's Guide to Product Ownership Analysis.
And how to apply those foundational concepts to build a product-first enterprise.
From understanding the customer to building the right product and navigating those inevitable challenges along the way.
We've seen how techniques like customer journey mapping, empathy maps, user story mapping, acceptance criteria, and risk analysis can all play a crucial role in creating successful products.
And how important it is to adopt that product-first mindset,
Absolutely.
creating a culture of collaboration, innovation, and customer centricity.
Building an organization that's truly set up for product success.
And hopefully, by embracing these principles and techniques, You'll increase your chances of building products that not only meet, but exceed customer expectations.
That's the goal.
So go out there, build something amazing, and let us know how it goes.
We'd love to hear about your product successes.
Until next time, happy product building.